Let's talk about someone I never thought I would ever really cover. Hip hop producer, music mogul, P Diddy, whose house got raided by federal officials due to allegations involving sex trafficking, SA, illegal narcotics, and firearms. And we're just going to kind of read through this. Sean Diddy Combs is a subject of a federal investigation amid a wave of lawsuits that have been filed against the rap music mogul since November. A source familiar with the matter told NBC News on Monday. Now, when this happened, when the raids took place, this was like massive news. Huge. Everyone was talking about it, and now I don't know much about P. Diddy other than him just being, a big name when it comes to music. So I was pretty surprised by this, but apparently there has been, like I said, there's been a wave of lawsuits since November, and a lot of people weren't really surprised when this happened, but still, they definitely were surprised, but I don't think, it was something that, learning that he was being accused of all these things wasn't really a surprise to much people. But here we have, but continuing with the article itself, 3 women and a man have been interviewed by federal officials in Manhattan in relation to the allegations of sex trafficking, SA, and the solicitation and distribution of illegal narcotics and firearms. The source said interviews with 3 other subjects were also scheduled. 4 law enforcement sources told NBC News that federal agents with Homeland Security investigations on Monday executed search warrants at Los Angeles and Miami properties belonging to Combs. The sources said the warrant is out of the Southern District of New York. The HSI confirmed in a statement that it executed law enforcement actions in New York as part of an ongoing investigation, along with teams in Los Angeles and Miami. A Homeland Security official seized phones from Combs in Miami before he was scheduled to depart for a trip to the Bahamas, according to 3 law enforcement sources familiar with the warrant. Combs was in the Miami area when officials executed the search, sources said. It is not clear if Combs made the trip as planned. We'll get back to that. Representatives for Cone 54 did not immediately respond to NBC News' request for comment on Monday. News of a federal investigation comes from public scrutiny of Combs' behavior after his former romantic partner Cassie accused him of physically and sexually abusing her for years. She made the allegations in a lawsuit filed late last year in New York under the New York Adult Survivors Act, which offered a 1-year window for adult victims of SA to come forward with civil claims regardless of the statute of limitations. Cassie, whose full name is Cassandra Ventura, settled with Combs on November 17th, the day after the suit was filed, on terms that have not been disclosed. Since then, 3 other women have come forward with lawsuits in the Southern District of New York, alleging that they were essayed by Combs. 2 of the women said they were teenagers at the time of the alleged assaults. Douglas Wigder, who represents Ventura, and a Jane Doe who filed suit, said in a statement that the searches and investigation were hopefully the beginning of a process that will hold Mr. Combs accountable for his depraved conduct. We will always support law enforcement when it seeks to prosecute those who have violated the law. The fact that Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, settled with Cassie the day after the suit was filed, it's not a good look for him because he is massive. He has a lot of money, definitely compared to her. He could have, and I talked about this with Steven Crowder earlier, he could have easily just taken this to court, just threw money at his lawyers, and eventually she would just probably lose funds for it and not be able to continue. But him settling immediately, it's not a great look for him because it obviously goes to show that he didn't want this to go to court. But again, we don't know the terms, but still, it's not a great look. We will always support law enforcement when it seeks to prosecute those who have violated the law. An attorney for Joy Dickerson Neal, one of Combs' accusers, declined to comment to NBC News. An attorney for Combs previously denied Jones' allegations and said that Combs' team has overwhelming, indisputable proof that his claims are complete lies. Not a good look for him, especially with his history. There was like a drug mule connected to Combs, P. Diddy, who got arrested around the same time. But still, it doesn't seem that there's any additional information in this one. I also know his sons. I believe his sons got arrested during the searches too, but they were quickly released. But if you want to know where P. Diddy was at the time of all this going down, he was basically leaving the country, basically kind of fleeing the country. I guess he was going to a trip to the Bahamas. This was happening at the exact same time, and there were people who saw him at the airport who said that he was being very frantic, he was very he obviously seemed bothered by something and was like frantically like walking around. But yeah, people no one really knew where he was. It said here that the jet that he was on, like his private jet, was grounded in the Caribbean on Monday night. They turned off public tracking for the ship beforehand. He has been seen since then. He has been seen like in the States. Like at the time, it definitely seemed like he was just frantically trying to like leave the country. But I guess obviously when if your houses are getting raided at the same time you're going on a trip, you're gonna be pretty frantic. But yeah, that's just kind of the recent developments and all of this. It's probably gonna be a while till stuff really comes out. I guess because like I'm presuming because they're probably gonna have to look through a lot of the evidence they gathered from their searches because they're obviously looking for stuff connected to this. I know there have been, it's obviously not a good look for him, as some experts mentioned that the fact that they acted this quickly, and with like the fact that this has happened so quickly, obviously goes to show that they have a lot of evidence against, or they believe they have a lot of evidence against him that will strongly help them out. And all they really need is, kind of like, I believe they took a lot of his like electronics, and what they're planning to do is go through them, see if there's any evidence, like any pictures or videos that might help, them out with their investigation in terms of showing any proof. I had like a previous article bookmarked, but I don't know where it went. And it detailed one of the stories of one of the Jane Does, I believe. I don't believe they named her. Yeah, this is what I was referring to. These are like bunch. This whole article like kind of goes down some of the sexual misconduct lawsuits, but this one in particular is one that I saw referenced in an article that I found earlier that I can't seem to find now. But I might as well just talk about it. This is one of the Jane Does. I believe it's actually the one that's kind of connected to this. Like when this story first started coming out, I heard a lot about like this is all coming from like a woman that they refer to as the Jane Doe, the anonymous woman. And I believe it was like her investigation that ultimately led to the raid, at least from what I've read. But here we have the basics. An anonymous woman using the name Jane Doe filed a federal lawsuit in the Southern District of New York on December 6th against Diddy, Harv Pierre, an unnamed third assailant, Daddy's House Recordings Inc., and Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings Inc. Doe filed an amended complaint on March 29th. The allegations: Doe accused Diddy, Pierre, and a third person of sex trafficking and gang R-wording her in 2003 when she was a 17-year-old high school student. In court filings, Diddy formally denied the allegations and told the court the lawsuit should be dismissed because of the woman's decision to wait more than 2 decades to file her complaint. And I just want to say this: there should not be any time limit for when someone wants to be comfortable with coming out with their story. And I don't know, this is just a classic example of victim blaming, because he has lost the ability to defend himself fully and fairly. Aren't you like a millionaire? How can you not defend yourself? Like, obviously, if there's not any evidence to support it, you should be fine, right? He also argued the evidence may now be unavailable, lost, or compromised, that witness identification, availability, and recollections are likely compromised due to the substantial passage of time. Pierre, the former president of Bad Boy Records, filed a 15-page response asking the court to dismiss the complaint. He said he never participated in the essay of the plaintiff, nor did he ever witness anyone essaying the plaintiff. Yeah, this is the one that I saw kind of brought up in relations to the raid, but this is still very much an ongoing thing. We're not going to really know what exactly happens. But at the same time, no one probably thought these raids were going to happen as quickly as they did. So we'll just have to wait and see what comes after this. But yeah, not a great look for.